So, what were the conversations like to join Coach Lanier at SMU? Both the conversations with him and with family and anyone else who went into this decision?
That's a good question. There weren't very many, it wasn't a very long conversation actually. It was, I'm trying to replay it now quick in my mind. I think Coach Lanier called and said he got a call from a search firm and it was an opportunity. He said the name of the school, he said SMU, and I said, well, that's a no-brainer, right, Coach? So that was all I said to him, and from there the ball was rolling, and then had to run it by, the boss of my house, had to let my wife Heather know what was going on, but it was an easy conversation, with her too. She's from Atlanta, but it was still, we had spent 3 years with Coach Lanier and our staff, and we feel so comfortable with the people, so it was just it was a no-brainer as a family.
So you didn't have to talk her into leaving her home state?
I did not have to talk. No, I didn't. I was surprised maybe a little bit by that, but she's down for an adventure. We had spent 2 years in Houston at Rice University, so we were familiar with Texas, and we knew how hot it was out here, and we were ready for that. And we enjoyed our time in Texas, and so we were anxious to get back. But the main thing for us is about, as an assistant, we tell our players a lot, in recruiting, you're trying to get guys to come, and they always want to know what the head coach is like. And I always tell them as an assistant, that's our measuring stick too. You want to work for a really good person. We have a 7-year-old daughter, and for me, like, whoever I work for better be about family and better be about me allowing to have a relationship with my wife and my daughter, and I knew I had that with him, so that's a major factor for us.
Will your role differ here at all from what it was before with Coach Lanier?
I don't think so. We're working through some things. There's been so much stuff being thrown at us since we got here. We'll meet as a staff more this summer and get fine-tuned, with the basketball part moving into the season about, who's doing what, but I'm ready to do whatever he asked me to do. And that's the one nice thing about just having the same staff for the most part. We added Coach Owens and Coach Crow. Those two guys came with us, but for the most part, everybody else, we have been working, we have a rhythm, we have a relationship, and that part's been great.
How does the approach change as far as recruiting overall for you guys, if any? Being back in Texas, or with Coach Lanier's ties to here, or however you guys all kind of work it out.
Yeah, the process of it won't change. It'll still be about finding guys that we feel as assistants would be good fits for Coach Lanier. We know what he's looking for in a player as a person, and how they would fit with our program. So for us, it's been more about learning SMU, meeting everyone, trying to get a good idea of what it takes to be successful here, not only on the court but academically. We know the level of education these guys are getting, so we want to be strategic about adding good students, guys that value that. We want to recruit locally, so getting to know, reconnecting with high school coaches, AAU coaches in Dallas, and getting really good players here in the American, but also good fits in the SMU community. So we're really placing a high value on that.
What kind of reception have you gotten from those coaches as you've started to rebuild those relationships?
Yeah, it's been great. The previous staff did a really good job here. They recruited and signed and coached really good players. I'm reminded every time I walk by that wall. They've had in the last 10 years 4 or 5 NBA players, so they did a great job. So we're going to continue to try to just build relationships, new relationships, old relationships. Maybe some guys that have sent guys to SMU in the past. There's been some SMU alum that just got head coaching jobs in the area. So just connecting with everybody and trying to make sure they know what we're trying to do here, introduce them to Coach Lanier and our staff, and just do the best we can to hit the ground running, as they always say.
What is the process of, you get a new job, you come in here with Coach Lanier, and you got to assess a roster, you got guys leaving, graduating for whatever reason, and then you're trying to put it all together. How difficult is it with the portal, also being able to kind of take from you at the same time when you think maybe you're on track with what it's going to look like?
Yeah, I think the easiest way to describe it, it's an adventure. Like, it's a daily adventure. You never know what call you're going to get, what text you're going to get. Maybe somebody you thought was staying that decides to maybe leave. So there's a lot of things, but Coach Lanier and our staff, we've always prided ourselves on being transparent. So we come in the door, he came in the door and communicated with the guys in the program, told them what he was about, what we're about, and if they wanted to be a part of it and wanted to jump all in, then they're our guys. And so from there, you try to help the guys that want to move on, help them find a home. And then, okay, then you go position by position. What do we need? Who's in our program? What class are they in? And you try to, the tough part about the transfer portal, what's made it harder to sustain a program. You know, maybe back in the day you would bring a guy in and redshirt him, know you'd have him for 3 to 4 years. Well, that just doesn't happen right now. It's kind of hard to even justify redshirting somebody. But, you know, it's a process, but I think just trying to do the best job you can in the portal world is actually easier than it's ever been to put together a roster for this coming year. But you almost have to do it on a yearly basis, even if you're at a place another year. It's just every year is becoming almost a G League professional overseas type thing. You just have to build a roster on a yearly basis. It just is what it is.
So from that standpoint, well, from your perspective and the rest of the coaches on the staff, how does the recruiting process or the sales pitch change when you're talking to a 20 or 21-year-old kid coming from another school as opposed to a 17-year-old, 18-year-old high school player?
Yeah, it's so different. You know, just going through, we're getting ready to hit the road this weekend to go watch some high school guys, and you just play those guys, class of 23, are starting to set official visits, and so you're planning out, okay, what's that going to look like? And then you're thinking back to, you know, maybe 2 months ago we had some official visits with these transfers, and the conversations are just so different. It's what's your roster look like is usually the first one. Do you have a need for me or my position? Now it's turning into the next question is, what's your NIL situation? That's the reality. Then it's cost of attendance, okay. So it's shifting quicker to that type of stuff. Where am I going to live? This and that. Whereas high school guys maybe have other things that they're not even thinking about those things, but these transfers, they've been down a road. It maybe it went well or it didn't go as well as they thought somewhere else. They know what they heard on the, you know, from the coaches that maybe didn't go that way, and so they're asking questions to try to avoid that happening again. So it's a case by case unique, but it's a different process for transfers for sure.
What have you seen out of the guys on the floor that you've worked out this summer here at SMU? Anybody that is really taken to what you guys are trying to install here?
I think they all are. That's what we've been most happy about. You know, guys are coachable. I think we don't have everybody here right now for summer one. Most of the rest of the guys will be here for summer two, so we'll have pretty much our whole team. But you know, we have length, we have size. Working through some, getting to know guys even better. Like we really don't. We think we know, I think, but we're slowly starting to see, okay, you know, whether it's their weak hand or whether it's how to set up in a pick and roll and to use it, like little teaching things where we can say, okay, he's got to work on ABC. We're just now in that process of saying, okay, here's how we want to play, introducing them to that. But now you start seeing, okay, skill set wise, you have July, little break in August, and then September where you can really focus on individual player development. And so we're in the process of learning our guys, I would say.
I think Coach said FA is one that isn't here yet.
FA has not made it here, correct?
Okay, and then who are some of the other ones?
So Ricardo Wright will be here for summer two. He's the other one that'll be thrown in the mix, and yeah.
As an assistant coach, obviously you wear an awful lot of hats, but some head coaches break up their staff so that one coach will focus primarily with the guards or primarily with the bigs or the defense. Mm-hmm. Does Coach Lanier break it up that way? And if so, what's your primary area of focus?
Yeah, he does. On the court, you know, we'll get more and more specific here, I think, in the coming months, but tend to focus more on the offense, work more with the wings, and then whatever else comes up with that. Scheduling is something that was another big task coming in here and trying to understand what happened here in the past from a non-conference schedule standpoint. Look at what's available as far as games to schedule, and then, you know, just all the scheduling. Scheduling's like recruiting. You got to do it every day almost, especially when you need 7-8 games like we needed. So just going through that whole scheduling part was a big piece for me.
How is the schedule coming along?
It's coming together. I think hopefully, you know, we're waiting on a couple contracts to come back. And at that point, hopefully we could start releasing some things, but really tried to add a couple quad one games in the non-conference. And then just starting to think about what our scheduling philosophy will look like with, you know, the outgoing teams from the league the following year, just having to get a little more aggressive in the non-conference moving forward.